Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to our show, Beyond Connections, which is the twice monthly show that we have for you guys, so that you can ask us questions about the stock market or any particular stock that you are curious about or want to know more about. I am Bess Santiago, one of the analysts for Abacus Securities, and today I'm joined by.
Hey guys, it's Rain here. One, a research analyst for Abacus as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Isaiah, one of the technical analysts for MyTrade and Abacus. Thank you.
Okay, and before we get to your questions, and feel free to post them in the comments. We're coming to you not in the studio today, unfortunately, um, just for some, uh, just to avoid any difficulties in case the rains come back again, or there might still be some flooding in some areas. Uh, before we look at your questions, what do you want to discuss, Rainer and Icy? Anything interesting on your end, especially on the technical front? Any interesting
Right.
stuff you're looking at, Icy?
Well, at least on the for the index, at least, I think it was I don't know, just a few what back in July, it traded back above 6,600. So that recent break above 6,600 appears to be allowing the index to move into a upward phase after declining almost 13%. So I think that's from the technical perspective. It looks like the market has started to recover already.
Yes, and I guess on my end, what I'm waiting for in the market or in the developments lately, or basically upcoming, is the PSEI rebalancing, which is probably gonna come out in the next week or so. Am I correct, Bess?
Yes, probably by next week or first week of August. In the past few rebalancings, the PSE has been quite early in announcing the results of their calculations. So, on that topic, if you are a client and you've been receiving our reports a few weeks ago, we published our expectations for the rebalancing. Um, we don't expect any changes on the members. However, we do expect some interesting weight changes for the members of the index to be implemented in August. So if you're not yet a client, sign up for MyTrade, and so you can have a copy of that report and see which of those stocks that we think there will be some substantial movements in terms of their weight for the index, so that you may be able to position um, on those. And I saw someone comment on it already. Maybe we can go to the questions already, since we already have um, quite a few in the chat box. So good afternoon, LB De La Cruz. Good afternoon, Mon, Lawas, and Bolode. New names. We're seeing some new names in the chat box. So Mon Lawas says SCC, please. So I'm assuming technical and fundamental. So maybe we can start with the technical IC. I think you're on mute.
Okay, so here's SCC. For the most part, it's hello. Can you hear me? So for the most part, still very much range bound with a slightly upward bias. Doesn't, from my perspective, doesn't seem like it can um, it can be traded until this consolidation is probably resolved here. So that's my from my view, it's probably just needs more time to consolidate, and then if the price breaks the upward boundary or the lower boundary, then you have an actionable event from the technicals. So yeah.
On the fundamentals for SEC, I think what we are monitoring as well is its coal prices, which in the second quarter has been higher than the first quarter. But if we compare it to on a year-on-year basis, it might only be flattish on a year-on-year basis based on the coal prices. So their selling prices leading to revenues to be flattish. But on the generation side, since SEC is reliant on Western pricing, and during the second quarter, there have been some upticks, but it was capped by the suspension of the Western operation. So SEC is likely to trend more of in line with expectations for the second quarter. And I think there's a follow up question here by Sir LB Del Cruz. Do you expect lower dividends for SEC this coming October? I think our expectation remains to be the same for SEC. We haven't really recompleted yet our expectations for dividends, but uh, for now, I think it's likely to be maintained, not really lower for SEC.
Okay. Yes. So for the next question coming from Ken, saying good afternoon from Tokyo. Um, how do you think it, how do you think of the probability for Hotel 101 to successfully list on the Nasdaq? And how much is Didi's fair value? Do you have any comments on that, Rainier?
For Hotel 101, I think they have a good chance naman on success on listing in the Nasdaq since they have been generating interest on several of their properties being developed in Spain, Japan. Um, what we haven't seen, although after that we haven't seen any developments yet, and basically what we are seeing in terms of its disclosures recently is just the news leading up to that. So not much developments yet on that end.
And as for the fair value, unfortunately, we don't cover DD to that extent. But perhaps we can get back to you on that. Ken, I know you're a client, and we can post that on my trade map in the future. Okay, next question. Another one from LB De La Cruz. Uh, how's it going with the PSE with the upcoming interest rate cut in August, but also knowing August is a ghost month? Um, not sure what which dates the ghost month starts. Maybe Rainier would know that. Um, but for the upcoming interest rate cut, we are expecting a cut from the BSP third week of August after the pronouncements by the governor that they are expecting to do that by August. If not, then probably by the next monetary board meeting in October. What we are interested in looking at is the GDP numbers that will come out a week before or a few days before the monetary board meeting, and we are looking at the quite a weak performance, especially versus market expectations. So another uh, this would be another reason for the or this would be another impetus for the BSP aside from the easing inflation rates of the past couple of months to indeed start their easing cycle by next month, which should be good for the market. And we think that this will be a one of the main catalysts for a shift from fixed income instruments back to equities, which over the past few years we've seen more investors going towards bonds because of the higher interest rates of the past few years.
So Ghost Month I think starts on August 4 and September 2. But over the past years, we don't think that the Ghost Month has affected the PSE that much, or basically refuting the myth on the ghost month. There are some years that August has performed better. There are some years that hasn't. So not really much of uh, basically what we think is basically the ghost month. It's not really gonna affect the PSE, but it's more of investors awaiting for news. So basically, even if they think of ghost month or they follow the traditions in the ghost month, I don't think investors are willing to give up the opportunities in positioning in the market, especially what we are seeing, what Best mentioned on the GDP and the interest rate prospect.
Okay, next. Also from LB De La Cruz, do you think there will be changes with the PSE rebalancing with PPI higher weight in the index? Spoiler alert. Yes, PPI is one of those that we're expecting a change in the weight. For whether this would be higher or lower, maybe you can sign up with MyTrade, then you can see our expectations for that. But the weights will actually depend on their free floats. We saw BPI, uh, the merger of BPI and Robinson's Bank became effective in January 1 of this year. And that had an effect on their float, and that's the reason for the change in the weight for BPI. Uh, that also the weights will actually be dependent on the prices of the index stocks on the implementation date of the index rebalancing. So that will be sometime in the first or second week of August. So the PSE doesn't give out a regular schedule on that. So, but um, it's usually announced on a Monday or a Friday, and then it will be implemented 5 days after the announcement. And in relation also to the index rebalancing from LB De La Cruz again, do you think AREIT will be included in the index by early next year? So, uh, AREIT recently had a property for share swap with Ali. This will once this is effective, or this is finalized, this will result in additional shares for AREIT, which will increase their market cap. And depending on how the price performance of AREIT goes in the next 5 months, since the next rebalancing covers the period January to December 2024. So if AREIT is able to maintain or increase its current price level, the increase in the number of shares will significantly increase its market cap, and it is a strong contender for index inclusion. But we will have to wait until the end of this year to see um, if other index members or other stocks are able to displace it, or keep it from rising high enough, even with the increase in market cap. Sorry for the sound. I don't. Okay, is it gone now? Yung parang weird na sound. Anyway, so that's it for that question. Thank you, Sir LB. Next from Albert Uy. Your thoughts on the effects of the POGO ban? What are the effects on the specific property sectors, office and residential, and will BPO be able to fill in the gap? How will developers adjust? Thanks in advance. So, any comments, Trainer?
Well, for the Pogo ban, I think the Sona was last Monday. Then we saw last Tuesday uh, the impact of what President PBM said, which caused DD to drop. I think I forget by how much, but I think it was only DD that dropped significantly since it had the highest exposure on Pogos as well as its REIT company DDMPR. But for the other the other developers in the property sector, they are less impacted since their exposure to Pogos have significantly gone down compared to where it was pre-pandemic. So, for example, the likes of FLI and Mega World. They were at double digits last time, basically in pre-pandemic. But now their exposure is much lower. I think even less than 2 or 3%. I have to check. I have to double check on that. But for the specific effects on the property sector, for residential, uh, it might be. Uh, we expect that the um, we expect that the impact might be minimal since ayun, given that pogos have been much less naman compared to how it was in the pre-pandemic, and now they have uh, basically we have seen its impact. So more or less, the pogo ban afterwards, there really won't be any significant impact to the residential space. But for the office sector, I think the market has reflected that the ban will impact Double Dragon the most since their exposure is the highest, and for the rest of the property sectors or the property companies, there aren't they're less likely to be impacted, but office vacancy is likely to remain high, uh, maybe up until next year. So I guess the next question for that is, will BPOs be able to fill in the gap? So not so much. I don't think they'll be able to uh, catch up that quickly in terms of the office rates that will be left behind by the Pogos. But I think there is that additional or the other license, which is the IGL for that flag for issues that could shift the Pogo allocation to the IGLs. So there is still some question marks what the IGLs are, whether it's another form of Pogo ba, or is it really just more of a labeling uh, labeling issue or development. But uh, what we are seeing in the property sector is more of the impact is concentrated on specific names, but for the bigger developers, not really much of impact.
Okay. Next, from LB De La Cruz again, do you think the PSCI has already priced in the upcoming interest rate cut in August and it could be a sell on rally? Um, personally, not yet. Mostly because the valuations of the PSEI is very very low, especially if you compare it to the historical levels. So currently, the PSEI um, is trading at around 10 to 11 times forward PE. Um, this could be considered crisis level valuation. So the last time it was around this level was the during the height of the pandemic, and also during the great financial crisis circa 2008 2009. And currently we are not seeing a similar crisis level, so it doesn't really make sense to have the index at such low valuation. And so once the interest rate cut starts in August or in October, it will take some time for investors to shift from fixed income to equities. So, but we will see more of that impact from the lower interest rates in the first half of 2025. Um, uh, this is because, aside from the cuts that we are expecting this year, we are expecting more to come in 2025.
That's my question of all for you. Do you know how many cuts the BSP is expected to have this?
Our outlook is that they are going to cut 50 basis points for this year. So that will probably be 25 in August, and then another 25 either in October or in December. and then another 100 basis points. Sorry for the noise. Another 100 basis points in 2025. So what we're looking at is 150 total for up to through to the end of 2025, and beyond that it's quite hard to make any predictions. So yun. What about you, IC? Do you think the index has priced in the interest rate cut already? Is that something that can be seen in the technicals?
Oh, sorry, Bess. What was that? I made you annoying sound. Is a spike in interest rates, or was it you jumped in?
Is the Do you think the PSEI has already priced in that interest rate cut? Is that something that you can see in the technicals? Maybe in previous times that the interest rates were cut by the VSB way back in pandemic era.
Well, on
Or
TradingView they have the 2 year yield, so I just track that to probably possibly get a proxy for what the BSB will do. But probably wiser might be wiser to just wait to see if the cuts will happen. So yeah.
okay, another question from Ken on DD. 1 year worth deposit of DD's tenants from Pogos will be refunded after banning Pogos. So DD is also sharply falling. Um, DD's exposure to Pogos is less than 10% now. I'm not quite sure if the deposits will be refunded, but one of the key concerns for DD is that um, they have quite a bit of receivables from Pogos that they probably will not be able to collect once the Pogos are banned. So that's another reason for to be but pessimistic on DD. Any comment, Rainier?
Well, we haven't seen yet how this would translate since, especially for DDMPR, since its payouts are basically coming from the Pogos, and whether what will the transition be from the Pogos to the IGLs. It's possible kasi na the Pogos are, or the new IGLs will be basically the Pogos just being translated. So it might not be impacted as much. So we haven't seen any developments or that since it's more of a fresh news for now. So there has been volatility on both DD and DDMPR. So well, basically both issues are likely to be news driven. What will happen in the next few weeks or months based on that news. So not really sure on the deposits if they will be refunded. Have to get back to you on that, and we'll have to get some clarification by management, and also on the exposure to Pogos. I have to double check the less than 10%. I don't think it's less than 10%. Have to double check that.
Okay. Maybe technical view on DD since we've covered DD a lot so far this afternoon.
Okay, let me just show you real quick. Double drive on, double drive. Um, so on that chart, there's a clear break of the 7 year downtrend line back in what's this in 2023. Currently experienced high volume selling on about a couple of days ago. If it breaks, what's this 10.67 10 pesos 67 cents, that could spark the end of the current rally. So it would probably suggest a deeper drop, probably closer to the 200-day moving average, and a support at 9.22. So yeah, probably some volatility if the 10 peso 67 cent level breaks. Double triangle.
Okay. Comment from LB De La Cruz. Thank you for answering the questions. I'm also a MyTrade client. And thank you for the compliment. Um, Thank you for being my trade client as well. And you gave that spoiler on the index rebalancing earlier. Question from Alice Tansenko, another new name, so welcome. Has the market fully factored in recent weather disruptions? Surely this would hurt people's purchasing power again. Um, we will have to wait and see how much of a damage the recent flooding has done, especially for the agricultural sector. If the damage is quite big, we might see some fluctuations on the prices of vegetables, of basically prices of food, since deliveries have also been hampered by the weather disruptions. In terms of hurting people's purchasing power, that could be an avenue if prices increase because of that. But it's only been it's only been for the past few days that or a few days that of flooding. So far we have yet to see um, any the estimates from the Department of Agriculture in terms of supply disruptions and also its impact on prices. So um, we could actually see some we could actually see sorry about that we could actually see some increase in spending as consumers or households replace items that have been destroyed in the flooding. Uh, but this would have a very small impact since it's not unless we see more severe flooding in for the next few months. I believe La Nina is expected to come by August or September, so we'll have to wait and see on that.
And just to add, usually when we see these types of events, we see some not really one time, but some spikes in some of the in the consumer space, such as the likes of CNPF, Monde, URC, since there will be relief operations that would increase their sales basically, in doing those relief operations. So could lead to increased sales for those companies in the third quarter.
Okay, next question from Job Gamboa. SPNEC question mark. So, any updates on SPNEC, Rainier, and maybe another technical view on this? I see.
For SPNEC, sorry. For SPNEC, there is still that overhang for SPNEC. That's why we haven't seen any movements or basically any rallies coming from SPNEC being cut short by heavy selling. And what we are anticipating still is its news on the Terrace Solar project that in the next few months we should see its new partner that is rumored to be uh, partners actually. That's the rumor that it will have more than one partner in that project. And we might hear more after Meralco holds its briefing on Monday. We should have some updates on that since they are now one of the majority shareholders on that. And SPNEC, basically, it could move based on the anticipation of its new partner in the Terra Solar project.
Okay, maybe we can take two more questions from Albert Uy. Your thoughts on gaming stocks with the Chinese economy not doing so well?
For the gaming stocks, the general trend that we are seeing now. So first, on the physical casinos, the integrated resorts, so the likes of City of Dreams, Solaire, Newport, and although obviously only Solaire or Bloom is listed now, but Newport Manila is in AGI. The trend that we are seeing now is its VIP segment continues to be weak, and that's because of the absence of not only the Chinese tourists but also the Koreans. So I think we started to see this late last year, and it's continuing on this year. But for the Chinese economy, not really so much an impact to the physical casinos since over the past years we haven't really seen them compared to where they were in the pre-pandemic. So the drivers over the past years have been the Koreans, but with their absence so far in the IRs here in Metro Manila or in Pasay, uh, it hasn't really been translating well in the physical casinos uh, ga- gross gaming revenues. So that's why we have seen weakness in Bloom, and it's likely to continue on in Q2 for Bloom, since in VIP segment continues to be weak, but it is slightly offset by its mass segment. But for I guess on if we are talking about gaming stocks, since I discussed physical, but what we like in the gaming stocks is DigiPlus, since it has continued its run up, continues to ramp up its new games, and we've seen its price really starting to, or basically investors really discovering its price over the past weeks, continuing to see new highs. And what we are expecting for Q2 is its continuous rise in terms of GGR, and the recent development on the Pagcor share, which would cut down its franchise fees, that would be positive for DigiPlus's bottom line. So that's really one of the key catalysts that we are seeing in the gaming sector. And this is supported by Pagcor's announcement a few weeks ago of its GGR numbers in the first half of 2024. So showing that second quarter 24 numbers, which confirms the weakness of the physical-based casinos, and the growth of the e-games, or the the online gaming operators such as DigiPlus.
And just to add, Plus issued the clarification. Um, was it yesterday or 2 days ago that they are not covered by the Pogo ban? And also, I believe most of their target, or almost all of their target market, is local um, gamers. How would you call online gamer online gamblers? So they would not be affected by the weakness in the Chinese economy.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
so last question. Sorry, you have something
uh,
to add, Rainer?
yeah, just the difference between Pogos and basically the online gaming operators, which is Plus. Pogos basically they operate here, but their target market, or basically the market they are serving, is the foreign markets, so China, US, Europe. But for the online gaming operators, they cater to the local Filipino market.
Okay, for our last question, maybe Rainer, you want to choose?
Uh, okay, I
Uh,
think,
uh,
sorry guys, not really much time to answer all of your questions, but we appreciate those. I think we can take CREC and DNL, since I see you can also provide some insights on the technicals on both stocks. But before IC pulls up, or let's give time for IC to pull up the charts for CREC. CREC has been seeing positive share price movement lately. Um, there have been a couple of news items that have been positive for them, and we have been bullish on its outlook. we actually recommended to subscribe to the IPO since a lot of their attributable capacity will come online next year. And recent news it's likely to it's likely to be positive as well on their prospects for next year and even in the coming years ahead. So really, ano naman, we think that CREC has a lot of value and it's likely to be one of the four front runners in the transition to renewable energy. Then for DNL, we haven't seen much news yet on DNL, but based on its first quarter, we have seen positive development on its new Batangas plant that has ramped up capacity. It has been faster than expected, which is a positive, really a good news or development for them, since the expectation was it will come to I think uh, about late this year yung na-reach nila. They were able to do that just about 7 to 8 months. So good. It was a good development on their end that would boost its export market as well. That should provide good top line movement, and it will offset some of the expenses that is part of the operating expenses of the new plant. So the growth might be coming later this year. Not so sure for the second quarter if they have received more orders on that end, but management did provide some guidance that they are seeing more growth in the latter part of this year compared to this year, and probably next year you should see its capacity utilization to continue to increase. So should be an exponential increase in terms of its bottom line and top line for DNL. Okay, I think we can
Um,
check charts. I see.
I, so just quick glance at the chart. Joseph, is Joseph there? So for excuse me, let's just wait for it to load. Is it loading? Ba't wala? Okay, so there it is. Just quick glance on the technical front. Uh, Not really that encouraging for DNL. It broke the first support. Really needs to hold 592. So in the short term, it would be a short term. You should expect short term weakness as the oscillators making new lows and the prices also, excuse me, making new lows. So that's it for DNL on the technical front.
What about for CREC IC? Or is it too early to uh, look at the trends or patterns for CREC? I think it has been trading only for 2 months. I see. Sorry, you're on mute.
So CREC, let me just show the chart. Nice move on CREC. It's about a 25% move since the low in July. So it looks like a buy the dips stock in the very, very short term. Okay.
Okay, unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. But before we go, just a shout out to LB De La Cruz. You won last time. You won a 500 peso credit to your portfolio. Oh, this is from the raffle that we did during the Outlook. So if you want guys to also possibly win such a prize, tune in to our events. We do our Outlook twice a year. We also have Wink, or What Investors Need to Know, where we have special guests, usually from stocks that we cover. LB, you can please send us your full name and client code please DM it. Don't put it in the comments. DM it to us so we can properly credit your account. Uh, and for the questions that we were not able to cover, unfortunately, you can send them or we'll take note of them and then we will answer them to MyTrade Map, which is our Facebook group for clients. So if you're not yet a client, sign up for MyTrade so you can have that avenue for us to answer your questions and you can have access to our full reports as well, which are also posted in the Facebook group if Facebook is your preferred method of accessing our reports. So that's it for today. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us, and maybe Rainier and Icy can have some parting comments as well.
Okay, so thank you guys for joining us. Hope everyone is safe and continue to be safe. Praying for everyone's safety, and we hope that the market has been promising for you guys since I think over the past weeks it has grown or basically been up 10% since it's June Loba or July. So really a lot of opportunities that we see in the market, especially with the improving outlook on the rate cuts. So basically if you're in it for the long short term or long term, it's becoming a good time to invest.
Right. So I just want to wish everyone that I just hope everyone is safe and hope that the odds are forever in your favor. Yeah, for trading.
Okay, good. So again, thank you for spending the afternoon with us, and catch us on our next episode of Beyond Connections, which will happen in the next 2 weeks. Bye.
All
Thank you
right.
guys.
Thank you.